Good morning. I'm Julie. Welcome back to the Eagle Mom Squad YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about how can you possibly live off of one income. And I bring that up because some people are thinking about homeschooling due to this pandemic in particular. And it might require that a job is given up in order to do that. So the question arises is how in the world can you possibly make it on one income? Well, in society today, we know what society has pushed on us. Expensive homes, expensive cars, you know your bills. They're probably astronomical. I will say though, most homeschoolers have survived very nicely on one income. So obviously there's a way to do it. Obviously it can be done. Is it going to be hard? I know it was for us when we first started out. My husband and I, we went from dual income, no kids, to one income, one child, and then of course children kept coming. So it is hard, I'll give you that, but it can be done. So how can it be done? Well, this is what I did when we were struggling. And there was a time of struggle. First thing I did was I listed all of our expenses and looked at what our income was. And for intermittently over the last 16 to 20 years, our income has gone from a steady wage to commissions only. So that can be kind of tricky when you're trying to figure out the budget. But what I did was I said, okay, we're going to need this amount of money each month. So it needed for our bills. Now, what were our bills? So I made that list of our bills. I looked at what absolutely had to be paid. Okay, and then I looked at what is kind of luxury. Okay, now, another thing you might want to do is when you look at those items that are not absolutes, like, of course, a mortgage or rent is absolute. You have to be able to feed your family. You have to take care of the electric and the water bills, right? And now, of course, we have internet and phone. So there are certain things that are absolutes, and there are certain things that are extra. And you have to determine what those things are. But within those extras, or even those absolutes, you have to see, sometimes we have little bills that I call they're nickel and diming us. Maybe this costs maybe $5 a month, or this subscription costs $10 a month, or this, going out to eat is this much a month. So then I would record what I did, and I would suggest it to you, is to take that number for the monthly amount, because it may not seem like much, and then multiply it by 12. For example, at one point we had a cable bill. When we no longer have cable, a cable bill, because we realized we didn't like what was being programmed. Even though we had 200 channels, we didn't like what was being programmed. But of course it's not much in the big scheme of things, but when you multiply it over a whole year, you see that can be quite a bit of money. Okay, so we got rid of that thing. We got rid of a lot of stuff in our budget so that we could live off of what was already being earned, either as a salary or a commission. Let's see here. So let's look at something though that is a requirement, feeding our families. If you look at how much you're spending on either eating out and or at the grocery store, if you tallied everything up for a month, you might be shocked. It's very expensive. So you might have to change, if you need to whittle that down a little bit, because you really need to streamline your budget. What you could do is look at what you are eating. What kinds of foods are you eating? Maybe you eat meat every night. Well, obviously one way to streamline that budget is to maybe eat meat only a couple nights a week. Maybe you're eating out a lot. Maybe you need to start eating more at home. I mean, a lot of this is just common sense. not to insult you at all, but you really need to start looking at what's essential and what is frivolous. Okay, what's a luxury? I have a child who loves to get coffees at specialty coffee shops. She found one specialty coffee shop was far more expensive than another specialty coffee shop. And I would even argue with her, when you get when you are out on your own, you're probably going to want to just make your own coffee at home. I mean, so that in and of itself is a way you can whittle away your budget. It's not fun. It's not glamorous. But what's essential here? And essential is if you do decide you're going to homeschool, you probably need to do it on one budget. Seriously, there are definitely ways to do part-time work or work from home. Some of the women that I work with on this Eagle Mom Squad, they have little businesses that they do on the side that they work around their family's needs, and they have made it work, and that's great. Personally, I was not of the mind to do that, to have two things that I was seriously focused on. So that did not work for me, but for other women I know, part-time or their own businesses, that were still working around their families, that worked as well. So those are some ideas on how to make it work for your family. Some other ideas, obviously you would know this again, maybe you want to go ahead and instead of purchasing all your children's clothes or your clothes at a retail store, even if you're getting them on sale, there are probably many thrift stores around your home that you can go to, and lots of times you can get even brand new clothing that you can, bring into your home instead of purchases from a retail store. Yard sales are great for finding, if you have really little kids and they're still into toys and games, lots of times you can get terrific stuff at yard sales that are gently used, in great shape, that can be used in your family as well. So there's certainly ways that you can whittle away your budget so that you can stay at home and teach your kids and not subject them to, I would say, a rather oppressive learning environment. The people I know, I have a child in college. He has to wear a mask all the time if he's around on the college campus, or he's Zooming. So that's just college example. I mean, I know the elementary schools around us are requiring kids to wear masks. I think all the high school kids now are starting to have to do all their classes online. I mean, there's definitely a better way to do it. I would suggest that homeschooling is a better way to learn. But it's going to take some sacrifice on your part. Do you have brand new cars? Maybe you need to get rid of those cars and get a used car where your monthly payment is nothing or a fraction of what you've been paying for that brand new car. Do you normally plan for vacations? You've heard now the term staycation. That's been with us in our vocabulary for many years now. There are definitely things around your community that you can do to make life fun for your children, and it does not have to be that you go away somewhere, or if you do go away, maybe it's somewhere more local that doesn't require, flights. Okay, although flying right now, I have to say, is pretty nice. Went down to one of the southern states to visit my son who's in the military, and it was a great time to travel. So the rates are pretty decent as well. And another thing we did for whittling away our budget was I looked to see how much money was I spending on gas in traveling to different places that my kids needed to get some schooling with. And then I realized I could probably bring those locations closer to home. In other words, instead of doing a gymnastics class that was at least a half an hour away a couple times a week, I started having the kids do a martial arts class that was only a mile and a half away. So still getting the activity for the kids, the social experience for the kids, an experience dealing with another adult other than me, who happened to be an excellent martial arts instructor. I brought it home closer, so they were only 1.5 miles away versus a 30-minute ride. And then also, of course, if you are working outside the home, you probably are already spending a lot of money on gas, upkeep of your car, a wardrobe for you, childcare if that's needed. Of course, all those expenses go away when you decide that you're going to stay home and educate your kids at home. So really take a look at your budget. It can be done. I know dozens and dozens and dozens of moms and dads that are living off of one income. So it can be done. Just scrutinize your habits, see if you can change them to less expensive habits or eliminate them altogether. And then a lot of times we don't have money for emergencies. And so with that, some of that money, you want to start putting money away in a savings so that you don't need to use a credit card. So you don't need to add on to that credit card expense. You know, I would also say cut up your credit cards if you can. If you don't physically have the money, then don't purchase what you need to purchase or what you would just like to purchase. I think Dave Ramsey has some excellent courses on helping people whittle away their budgets so that they can take care of their debt and reach their goals. Okay, I mentioned already that some of my homeschool mom friends have part-time jobs or part-time businesses or even full-time businesses for that matter. There's definitely ways to do things. You know, of course, of all the online options that are out there. If you don't know them, I'm sure you can research them. You're very smart and very savvy, probably more savvy than I am, and I have found things to do. So I'm sure you can as well. I guess I'd also say just think outside the box. We are programmed, believe it or not, we are programmed by society to think a certain way. You have to think now about what your goals are for you and your family. And that might require you to think outside the box, think differently about stuff. And I'm certain you can find a way because, like I said, I know many dozens of people that have gone from 2 incomes to 1 income and have managed to stay in their homes and just change their lifestyle around a little bit so that they can work out what's the most important job is raising the next generation. Someone needs to do it. That someone has got to be you. You love your children more than anybody else. You know what's best for them because you know them better than anybody else. So if you want to make this happen for your family, be resourceful, think outside the box, be determined to make it happen, and I'm certain that you can. So thank you for listening today. Below in our description, you can find our website, Eagle Mom Squad. You can find our Facebook page. If you like this video, if you like other videos, make sure you hit like. And I think you can even subscribe to our channel. And we have podcasts and blogs. Now as the school year starts, we're going to be probably just adding 1 bit of new content a week instead of the 3 that we've been doing. But still, you can look at all the content we've provided in the podcasts and the YouTube videos and the blogs. And then even on our Facebook page now, we have a group where you can be part of that and part of the ongoing discussion. Thank you and have a great day.